If you're running a professional services firm right now, uh, your biggest threat actually isn't your competitor down the street.
Right.
It's the fact that the very thing that built your firm, I mean, your referral network, is kind of slowly strangling your future growth
Yeah, that's exactly it.
because you have this incredible team, and your current clients absolutely swear by your work. But then when it comes to consistently generating new leads from people who don't already know you, it just feels completely out of your control.
Oh, it is a massive point of friction across the board. Like we see executives in accounting, engineering, IT managed services, and legal practices literally pulling their hair out over
Oh, I'm
this.
sure.
Because the strategies that reliably grew their firms, 5 or 10 years ago are suddenly just stalling out.
Right, they just hit a wall.
Exactly. The market has shifted, buyer behavior has evolved, and relying on your personal network just isn't moving the needle the way it used to.
And that is our mission for today's deep dive. We are looking at some incredibly insightful source material today. It's a comprehensive guide from SmithDigital.
Yeah, really good stuff in this one.
They are a revenue-focused growth partner, and they specialize in B2B pipeline generation. And they've laid out this brilliant framework for diagnosing this exact problem.
They really break it down perfectly.
Right. So we are going to figure out why traditional lead generation methods are breaking down so badly for professional services, and more importantly, how you can build a modern, predictable, inbound marketing engine to fix it. Okay, let's unpack this because reading through this material it becomes immediately clear that this isn't just about tweaking your website to get more traffic.
No, not at all.
It's about fixing fundamental breaks in how you build trust, how you target your ideal buyer, and how you actually follow up.
Yeah, because you really can't just apply a generic marketing template to a professional services firm. I mean, the buying environment is entirely different than, say, e-commerce or even software.
Oh, 100%.
Think about the mechanics of what you are actually selling here. If a company buys a software subscription and they hate the interface, they just cancel it.
Right. It's a completely low-stakes mistake.
Exactly. But if a company hires the wrong financial advisory firm to handle a merger, or the wrong engineering firm to design a facility, the stakes are astronomical.
Oh, yeah, it's a disaster.
They lose significant budget, they lose months of operational time, and honestly, whoever made that hiring decision might just lose their career.
Right, because you aren't buying a tangible product you can test drive. You know, you're buying an invisible promise.
Yeah, an invisible promise. I like that.
You're trusting that a team of experts is going to solve a highly complex, highly sensitive problem. It's just an incredibly trust-heavy transaction.
And because of that inherent risk, the buyer is exceptionally cautious. Like, long before they ever fill out a contact form or agree to a sales call, they are invisibly evaluating your firm.
Just lurking in the background.
Yes, they are judging your expertise, scrutinizing your digital footprint, and really just trying to decipher if you genuinely understand the nuances of their specific industry pain points.
Which, I guess, completely explains why these firms have historically leaned so hard on referrals, right?
Precisely.
Because a referral completely bypasses that entire trust-building phase. If a respected colleague says, hire this IT firm, they completely secured our infrastructure, well, the trust is pre-transferred.
Yeah, you get to skip half the sales process.
But the SmithDigital Guide points out a massive vulnerability here. Like, relying primarily on referrals is kind of like sailing a massive ship without a motor.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
When the wind blows, it's effortless. You're cruising along, the pipeline looks great, but the second the wind dies down, maybe the market cools or a well-connected partner just retires, you are just stranded in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, you're just staring at the sails, completely powerless to generate your own momentum. What's fascinating here is how effectively that referral wind actually masks a firm's weak acquisition systems.
Oh, wait, tell me more about that.
Well, a strong quarter of referrals can make leadership think their overall growth strategy is perfectly healthy, right? But the underlying reality is actually really fragile.
Because it's completely unpredictable.
Exactly. Referrals are fundamentally impossible to forecast. You cannot scale them systematically, and they leave the firm totally vulnerable to unpredictable timing shifts.
Right, because you can't just mandate growth. Like, a managing partner can't just walk into a Monday meeting and say, we need to penetrate the healthcare sector this quarter, so let's generate 40 healthcare referrals by Friday.
Right, the mechanism just doesn't exist for that. And the cultural challenge is that many traditional firms, they view marketing entirely as an expense rather than a revenue engine.
Simply because referrals were always, quote unquote, free.
Exactly. But the danger comes when a firm finally hits that wall. The referral well dries up, panic sets in, and leadership suddenly realizes they don't have a reliable machine to generate their own demand.
So what does it do?
Well, what is the immediate reflex? They swing to the complete opposite extreme.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they start casting this massive generic marketing net, assuming that, just getting more visibility will automatically equal more revenue.
And that desperation leads us straight into the second major hurdle we need to talk about,
Yeah.
which is the positioning and targeting paradox.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Because when they cast that incredibly wide net,
Hmm.
they end up intentionally watering down everything that makes them specialized. You look at their updated website, and it's just, a wall of invisible, overused corporate jargon.
Oh, the jargon is the worst.
Right. It's all, we have an experienced team, or we use a client-first approach, or we are your trusted advisor.
The problem with those phrases is that they offer zero differentiation. I mean, they might be 100% true about your firm, but they are literally white noise to a buyer.
They just glaze right over it.
Exactly. They do not help a prospect understand why your firm is uniquely qualified to solve their specific problem compared to, say, the 5 other firms they're evaluating who are using those exact same adjectives.
Right. But, okay, I hear you on narrowing the target, but I have to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Sure, go for it.
If I'm a managing partner and my firm's revenue is down, intentionally ignoring, like 80% of my potential market just sounds terrifying.
It does feel counterintuitive.
Right. Am I not just putting a ceiling on my own growth by doing that? Doesn't casting a wider net at least create the illusion of more opportunity?
Well, it does create the illusion of opportunity, but the operative word there is illusion. The SmithDigital guide breaks down the mechanics of why this fails so clearly. Broad targeting will absolutely increase your sheer lead volume. Like, your website traffic will spike, your generic contact us form fills might go up, sure.
Right.
But it drastically lowers the actual commercial fit of those leads. You end up attracting prospects who technically exist in your broad industry category, but they lack the budget. They lack the organizational authority to actually sign a contract, or they don't have any real urgency to act.
So you're basically just filling the pipeline with ghosts.
Basically, yeah.
People who are perfectly happy to take a free consultation, but will never, ever actually convert.
Exactly. And the hidden danger there is that you overwhelm your own internal resources. You want a sharp, narrow target because it acts as a filter. It signals who actually deserves the expensive time of your senior sales team.
That makes a lot of sense.
The source material gives this brilliant real-world example of this mechanism in action. So let's look at an ERP advisory practice, a firm that helps large companies implement complex enterprise software.
Okay, I'm with you.
If that firm runs campaigns pitching CFOs on general quote-unquote operational efficiency, they are going to get buried in the inbox.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Every vendor on earth, from software reps to office supply companies, is pitching operational efficiency right now.
Exactly. It's just too vague to demand immediate action. But, and this is the key, if that same firm targets a highly specific buying trigger, let's say, they tailor their messaging specifically for CFOs who are dealing with severe data reporting gaps immediately following a post-acquisition integration.
Oh, wow, that is incredibly specific.
Right. The dynamic completely flips. You aren't just another generic consultant asking for 15 minutes of their time anymore. You are the exact antidote to the specific nightmare that CFO is living through this week.
Okay, I see.
Hyperspecificity is what actually allows modern buyers to self-qualify. They read that messaging and immediately think, wow, this firm isn't just in my industry, they're literally living inside my current problem.
So you've cast this wide net out of panic, your inbox is full of vague inquiries, and now you have a new, even worse problem, which is internal chaos.
Oh, the internal friction is brutal.
Right, because the marketing department is popping champagne because web traffic is up and they hit their lead quota, right? But the sales department is just throwing their hands up in frustration because every single one of those leads is completely unqualified.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this friction happens because the two departments are speaking entirely different languages when it comes to defining lead quality.
Right.
Marketing is traditionally incentivized to track activity metrics. So they are looking at click-through rates, session duration, maybe white paper downloads.
But the sales team cannot close a click-through rate.
Exactly. They need commercial fit and buying readiness.
Right.
If marketing hands over a list of entry-level employees who are just doing casual research and downloaded a high-level guide, marketing sees a successful conversion. But sales just sees a wasted afternoon of phone calls.
It's basically like a blindfolded relay race.
Ugh. A blindfolded relay race.
Yeah, like marketing is sprinting their leg of the race, but they have a blindfolds on, so they just kind of throw the baton into the grass. And sales is standing on the track waiting for something they can actually run with, but the handoff is completely broken.
That is a perfect analogy.
There's a ton of sweat and energy being expended, but the firm isn't actually moving forward toward closed revenue.
And that drop baton becomes painfully obvious when we analyze a firm's follow-up process.
Oh, the follow-up.
Yeah, because the marketing and sales systems are disconnected, the follow-up usually happens far too slowly, or it just happens entirely at random.
Yeah.
A genuinely qualified prospect might actually submit an inquiry, but because no one clearly owns that life cycle stage, the email just sits in a generic shared inbox for 2 days before a partner finally forwards it to a junior rep.
Which is crazy. Think about the psychology of that for a second. In high-end B2B professional services, what does a 48-hour delay tell the buyer?
It communicates volumes about how you operate.
Yeah.
It tells them your actual project delivery will be just as disorganized as your sales process. You are actively signaling to a high-value prospect that they aren't a priority.
Which is just a massive red flag.
And the other catastrophic failure we see is that nurturing completely stops after just one touch point.
What do you mean?
Well, a prospect downloads a technical checklist, a sales rep sends one manual email asking for a meeting. The prospect doesn't reply usually because they're still early in their research phase and the firm just gives up.
They treat every interaction as binary, basically. Like either it's an immediate hot sale or it's a total dead end.
Exactly.
They are completely ignoring the reality of, a 6 to 12 month consideration cycle.
Easily. And the consequence of that binary thinking is that you leave massive amounts of revenue on the table. You essentially paid to acquire that prospect's attention, and then you just abandon them simply because they weren't ready to buy on day one.
Right.
Diagnosing all of these broken elements, the generic messaging, the friction between sales and marketing, the abandoned follow-ups, it really reveals why piecemeal tactics fail. You cannot fix a systemic pipeline problem by just buying a new LinkedIn automation tool or running one random Google ad campaign.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because the SmithDigital material, it doesn't just diagnose the disease, it actually lays out the exact blueprint for the cure.
Yes, the methodology they outline is incredibly strong.
It details how successful firms are abandoning these disjointed tactics and building a unified, scalable, inbound marketing engine.
So let's get into the mechanics of this. How does a firm actually build this machine?
Right.
Like, how do you systematically prove your expertise and build that crucial trust before you ever get on a Zoom call with a prospect?
It requires building a methodology that connects every single phase of the buyer's journey, rather than just treating marketing as a series of isolated chores.
Yeah. The foundation of this engine is educational content and SEO. And we need to be very clear about what that means. We're not talking about writing surface-level blog posts like 5 reasons to hire an accountant.
No, of course not. That's brochure copy, not insight.
Exactly. You need to architect resources that help your specific ideal buyer evaluate their unique risks and understand their options independently.
Let's go back to our CFO dealing with a merger for a second.
What perfect example! They aren't Googling best accounting firm near me. They are searching for highly technical answers about post-acquisition tax liability.
Right, they want specifics.
You want your firm's deep, authoritative analysis to be the very first thing they find at 2 a.m. when they are stressed out and searching for a lifeline.
You are answering the terrifying questions they're afraid to ask their own board directors. So you're establishing absolute authority while they are still in that invisible research phase.
Exactly, but getting them to your site is only step one. The engine breaks down entirely if you don't capture and manage that interest, which is where implementing a proper CRM like HubSpot becomes just non-negotiable.
All right.
The SmithDigital Guide stresses that a CRM is not just a digital Rolodex. It needs to function as your firm's central nervous system. You have to establish clean, automated life cycle stages so that no prospect ever falls through the cracks. Marketing and sales must be looking at the exact same data dashboard.
Well, it creates institutional memory. Like, if a lead comes in, the system should automatically trigger a rule that routes it to the correct industry specialist.
Yeah.
right? Along with a notification that demands a follow-up within a specific, measurable time frame. It
Yes.
completely removes human error and guesswork from the handoff.
And for the prospects who aren't ready for that immediate phone call, the ones who are still just researching you, must implement marketing automation. This is the third pillar.
Okay, automation.
And let's clarify what automation is not. It does not mean subscribing them to a generic monthly newsletter that highlights your firm's summer picnic or, I don't know, a new partner promotion. No prospect cares about your picnic.
No. It has to be ruthlessly relevant to their specific problem.
Exactly the opposite of generic. It means designing targeted email nurturing sequences that map directly to the buyer's pain points based on their behavior.
So what does that look like in practice?
So if a prospect downloads a technical guide on cybersecurity compliance, your automated system shouldn't just ask for a sales call the next day.
Right.
Instead, 3 days later, it should automatically send them a detailed case study showing how your firm solved a severe compliance audit for a similar company. A week after that, it sends a self-assessment benchmarking tool so they can grade their own internal risk.
Oh, I love that. You're basically guiding them down a highly specialized educational path. You are keeping your firm top of mind by consistently delivering value so that, 6 months from now, when their board finally approves the budget for a major project, you are just the only logical choice.
Exactly. You aren't just a vendor anymore. You've been their silent advisor for half a year.
And what's the final piece here?
The final critical piece of this connected engine is data-driven reporting. We have to get off that blindfolded relay race you mentioned earlier.
Right, take the blindfolds off.
You have to fundamentally change what you consider a successful metric. Stop measuring website sessions, social media likes, and generic form fills. Start measuring qualified opportunities generated, the velocity of deals moving through your pipeline, and actual revenue impact.
So you need a dashboard that definitively tells your leadership team, hey, this specific thought leadership article on tax liability directly influenced 3 closed deals this quarter, generating X amount of revenue.
Exactly. Because when you have that level of visibility, you aren't guessing where to allocate your marketing budget anymore. You know exactly which levers to pull to scale your growth.
Which is the dream.
And this raises an important question for everyone listening to this deep dive right now. Look at your current operations. Is your firm trying to fix a systemic, fundamental pipeline problem by just slapping another Band-Aid on it?
Oof.
Are you just adding one more disconnected ad campaign or hiring a cold calling agency, just hoping it will magically fix a broken foundation? Because if your targeting is vague, your CRM is a mess, and your follow-up is manual, feeding more leads into that broken system will only create more internal friction and burn more capital.
Wow. So we've covered a massive amount of ground today, moving from the hidden dangers of the referral trap all the way to the actual mechanics of building a fully automated, measurable inbound engine.
We really have.
Let's distill this down for you, the listener, into some highly actionable takeaways based on this SmithDigital framework. Like, what can you actually start doing this week to fix the pipeline?
Yeah, let's get practical.
First, you have to tighten your firm's positioning. Stop being afraid of niching down. Stop just listing your generic services and start speaking directly to a highly specific client pain point.
Yes.
Don't be the firm that claims to do everything for everyone. Be the firm that solves the post-acquisition reporting gap or, whatever your highly specific superpower happens to be.
Absolutely crucial.
Second, you need to audit your CRM and your follow-up process immediately. Honestly, go submit a contact form on your own website today and watch exactly what happens.
That is such a good exercise.
See how long it takes for someone to reply. Ensure that momentum isn't just dying in a shared inbox somewhere after a prospect downloads a resource. You need clear, systemized ownership for every single lead that enters your ecosystem.
Couldn't agree more.
And third, shift your metrics. Stop patting yourself on the back for vanity marketing activity like traffic spikes and clicks. Align your sales and marketing teams around a single source of truth and start measuring your success by pipeline growth and qualified sales conversations.
That's where the real money is.
So what does this all mean for the future of your firm? Ultimately, it means that sustainable long-term growth comes from building a unified inbound marketing engine. It comes from taking proactive control of your own demand generation rather than just, crossing your fingers, looking up at the sky, and hoping for the next referral win to finally blow your way.
Beautifully said. And as you think about making that cultural and operational transition, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over.
Go for it.
Think about the prospects who actually visited your firm's website this week. They had a complex problem, they were actively looking for an expert, but all they saw was a generic contact us form and some vague copy about your experienced team.
Right.
So they quietly clicked away and they went and hired your competitor, the competitor who offered them a highly specific, deeply educational guide that proved they understood the exact nightmare that prospect was living through. What is the invisible cost to your firm of all the lucrative, high trust leads you never even knew you lost?